You imagine you're going and you can't get over those hurdles. The mentor should be there, standing right next to that hurdle, pick you up, get you over the hurdle, and let you go again. I don't think they're too different. I think a mentor and a coach is the same thing. The problem they have is they don't know how to get from A to Z. It's all great. Z looks amazing and all the fancy life and everything. Everybody on social media just flaunts the greatness. I'm driving this car. I'm wearing this watch. I'm doing this deal. I've got that deal. A lot of it is BS. I think it's a massive mindset problem at the moment. But then it's like, how do you control that? I have no clue what a HMO is. I don't know what I'm doing at this stage. And that's when the penny dropped. You're not pulling your finger out. You've been lazy at this point. And you can ask some of my mentees, and I give it some raw sometimes. I really kind of go hard.
But have you ever turned down a mentee as part of your sort of like screening or application process?
Yeah, all the time. If somebody got into a situation or somebody got into an issue, would you be able to get them out of it?
What should someone be looking for in a good mentor?
I think first and foremost is
So Rav, my guy, thank you for coming on. I'm so happy for you to be here. How are you?
Yeah, well, bro, thank you for having me on. It's been a pleasure. It's been a long time coming. I know we've trying to get this done for the last
We have.
month or so, I think.
I think it's been longer than that.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think you're right, actually.
Was it even pre-Christmas?
I think it probably was.
Because I'm sure we were talking about Christmas and family building up to this as well. So
Yeah, I think you're right.
It probably was before then, wasn't it? But do you know what? We're here now. We made it happen. Sometimes life gets in the way, but you know, we still made it happen. So
that's it. Gotta do what you gotta do, my bro.
Yeah, thank you for coming. But yeah, how are you, man? Talk to me, man. How are you?
All good, very good. It's been a busy, productive last few months. It's just down in London at the minute, as we said. Down here for the week. Brought the family with me, as you know what I'm like. I get bored when I'm on my own. But yeah, good. You know, God's been kind. It's been a good time. Can't complain.
Wicked. So today, man, what I want to talk about today really is the power of mentorship.
Yeah.
So you're a mentor. You've been doing this for a long time. I like to say you're one of the goats of what you do. So take that. So yeah, we're gonna talk about the power of mentorship. We're gonna talk about rent to rent, which is one of your core strategies as well. But really, it's all about mentorship today.
Amazing.
But before we get started, a question I like to ask our guests that come on this is to tell us something a bit quirky about yourself that maybe someone may not know or not everyone knows.
Something a bit quirky about me. I'm boring, bro. There's nothing much quirky
Come
about
on,
me.
there's got to be something there. Everyone's got something quirky about them. Dig deep, man.
So what a lot of people don't know is I actually had a background in cricket, and that is where primarily I was looking to go towards. I think everyone that I've seen me recently has just known me from property. But actually, I got quite a big background in cricket. My aim when I was younger was to play professionally.
Yeah.
And I wasn't too far off it. But I think too many different things got in the way. A little bit of society, girls.
Yeah.
My focus kind of drifted left and right. So
yeah,
that's probably.
So you was pretty good then.
I think I was probably more than pretty good at the moment.
Yeah.
So yeah.
So how far did you get there in terms of like, you know, obviously I used to play semi-pro football.
Yeah.
Like is there an equivalent in
Yeah.
cricket?
So you can go to like, so there's like district, there's county, and then from county you're going to like Young England Boys. I got to district. I was playing county for a little bit as well. It didn't go any further than that. It was, I think, there came a time, I think I was about 16, 17, where you kind of know when you're at that level where it's going to happen or not.
Yeah.
Most of the guys that are going to go off and make big careers are done by then. But yeah, it was just one of those ones that didn't happen. So yeah.
What's the sort of the average career span of a cricketer then? Because in football, it's like, you know, as soon as you get to mid-20s, late 20s, it's like, oh, that's your prime and, you know, you're approaching retirement. Then is it the same in cricket, or can you go longer in cricket?
No, you can go a little bit longer. You're up to, I mean, like there's players out there still playing in their 40s at the moment.
Yeah.
I think this is at like the highest level.
Yeah.
But usually anything is between like 18 and sort of 32, 33 is your peak.
Yeah.
After 33, after that, it's a little bit, I don't want to say frowned upon, but it's a little bit, like you said, you're kind of time for retirement.
Yeah.
But there are a few guys out there now who've been playing for God knows how long. They're in their like early 40s that are still doing it at the highest level. So
yeah.
It's I think like sports changed now from what it used to be. Like if you remember football, like in the 80s and 90s, like finish the game and they'd be having like down the pub and like 5 or 6 pints. Now they're all like pro athletes. They've got their protein shakes after the game. They've got their ice baths going. Cricket's no different from that. Cricket is exactly the same thing. Like, you know, the amount of training and fitness level and so forth that goes into it now is kind of like phenomenal. It's almost like, you know, they're kind of competing with the footballers when it comes to fitness levels. So.
It's funny you say that. I was talking about this the other day with my friends as well, like saying how in this day and age, you don't have to actually be good at the particular sport you're doing anymore. You just got to be an athlete.
Yeah.
It's all about fitness and just ability to run or whatever the sport is, basically. So you look at some of the footballers now compared to the ballers. Now I'm talking about proper ballers back in the day.
Yeah.
when there's people now that are playing pro, nowhere near as good as people back in the day, but they're just athletes, physically stronger, faster, fitter. So
you know what I mean?
Different ball game.
It's like if you compare someone like, I don't know, let's take, and I'm not saying he wasn't fit, but someone like Alan Shearer, for example.
Yeah.
Back in the day, he did a job.
Yeah.
But I remember reading somewhere before the game. I think he was having like mash, beans, and like a couple of sausages.
Yeah.
Was his pre-match meal, right?
Yeah.
And you'd imagine giving someone like Didier Drogba that as a pre-match meal, he's probably going to throw it back at you because it hasn't got enough, or someone like Ronaldo or Messi. So I think you're right. I think the game has just changed.
Yeah.
And I think the mindset's changed as well. I think it's come a lot more like, it's almost gone towards like the Americans. Like the Americans are very pro. You have to be an athlete.
Yeah.
You have to kind of be conditioned to do something.
Yeah.
It's probably the same as that.
Yeah.
And I don't think that was one thing I think I always lacked. I've always been kind of a big guy. So my kind of fitness level was always like at that kind of level where it was always going to be marked down. But then on the flip side of it, I was good.
Yeah.
And then I remember being in the field and there was guys who were playing with me that were like couldn't last a whole game, whereas I'd probably play 2 games in a day and still be all right to play a third one if I had to. But it's just perception sometimes. Like people look at him like, nah, he's not on the right side, doesn't look the part. Nah, we don't want him. But that's the world we live in, unfortunately.
Yeah, and I see you're still playing now. I see sometimes your Instagram stories as well, so you're still still getting it in.
Yeah, I've got myself back in. So it's, to be honest with you, more than anything, it was a bit of a breakaway from what property's like. You know, when you're doing this kind of full time, it's mad. So it kind of gave me a little bit of a breakaway. Saturdays with the lads, it's a bit of a laugh. It's probably not as a serious level as it used to once be, but it's still good to kind of get out and that sportsmanship is still there. You still want to kind of go off. And now I'm 35 now, but I'm still thinking, you know what, next season I have to be the best. I have to score this many. I have to make sure I'm the top of the league. I think it doesn't matter what level you're kind of playing at. Once you've been at a certain level, it's ingrained in you that you have to kind of be at the top level. And that's where it's. To be honest, it gets a bit competitive at times, but you know what it's like when you played sports.
Oh yeah, definitely.
You just, there's no kind of line. You're gonna keep going and going and going until you hit your barrier almost.
Yeah.
So yeah, man, it's good.
But anyway, listen, look, I could talk about sport all day long.
Yeah, man.
It's not what I brought you on for today, but maybe we'll get another session to talk about sport all day long. But so we're going to talk about mentorship and rent to rent, your core strategy today. So, but for the viewers out there who may not know who you are, do you want to just introduce yourself and tell us what you do?
Hey guys, hope you're doing well. My name is Ravi. I'm a property mentor. I specialise in rent to rent. My bread and butter is rent to rent HMO, rent to rent service accommodation. And anyone that's looking to start it, whether you're scaling your business, whether you're newbie coming into the business, I'm the one that kind of holds your hands, that takes you from start to finish.
Yeah, thanks for that. So let's start with the basics then. So there's a lot of talk at the moment around, courses, mentorship and education and things like that. What is a mentor?
So the easiest way I can kind of describe a mentor is someone that should be able to help you bypass a hurdle. So, and the way I always approach it to somebody is, if you imagine you're running in the Olympics and athletes, and even you've got to jump over the hurdles, you imagine you're going and you can't get over those hurdles. The mentor should be there, standing right next to that hurdle, pick you up, get you over the hurdle, and let you go again. That is what for me is a mentor, is someone that can take you from where you want to be to your destination and kind of give you that roadmap and hold your hand through that process. That is what a mentor for me is and should be.
Okay. So would you say there's a difference then between a mentor and like a trainer, using your example there of the hurdler?
You can do. I mean, like the two examples I hear a lot is a mentor and a coach.
Oh, coach, sorry, yeah. Or
so
coach.
What is a mentor and what is a coach? I don't think they're too different. I think a mentor and a coach is the same thing. I think a mentor is a little bit more like that kind of person on your back that's just making sure you keep going. More like an accountability partner, if you want to do that. A coach can someone be like, when you're trying to get somewhere, like, again, we use a sports theory again. If you're kind of get good at something, if you need something like become good at free kicks, you need a free kick specialist coach to kind of come in and do something. Whereas a mentor is almost like the manager, is looking over like the whole thing, is where I kind of approach it between the two of them. Yeah. Okay.
And what would you say is the value of a mentor then?
I think it's someone that can bring your thoughts into reality. So I know sometimes so many guys that have come into my program have said, look, Ravi, I want to do this and I don't want to do this and I do this. And I'm just like, okay, look, that is achievable, but we have to break it down. Mm-hmm. And the problem they have is they don't know how to get from A to Z. It's all great. Z looks amazing and all the fancy life and everything. But what they don't realize is getting through from B, C, D, E, and F, there's a process and stages. So the value kind of comes in to say, right, in order for you to get to A to B, we have to do this, and you have to understand this is the process you're going to have to go through. You have to learn. And a lot of the guys that are on the course at the moment, a lot of them kind of, and just yesterday I was speaking to somebody, and he was saying, look, where I was sort of 90 days ago, I had no clue about property, and compared to where I am today, I feel like I know enough to kind of go get a deal done, understand the due diligence of HMO, the due diligence of a service accommodation. It's just that bringing that value into place to understand, like for me, and I've said it before, knowledge is power. I'd rather someone join the course and gets off with 0 properties but takes away a lot of knowledge, which allows them the next 2, 3, 4, 5 years to build their empire, than someone kind of come in, do what they want to do quickly, have no understanding, no knowledge. Ultimately, they're going to crash and burn.
Yeah.
So it's not always about getting results ASAP. It's about making sure whatever you're doing, educate it, you understand it, you understand the process, you understand where you're going, and that can then allow you to kind of go off to do different things. I'm going to give a bit of a shout out to somebody here, like Mo, who used to be in one of my courses. In December, Mo won one of the Property Investors Awards for the newest, newest young developer. He came in and he won an award. The great thing with with Mo doing that, he's done that alongside his rent-to-rent company. I remember the first time I sat down with Mo, this is during COVID, and he said, Ravi, I want to do this because I want to get my mum out of work. That's one of my primary goals. I'm doing this. And I hit him back the other day when he won the award, and I was just like, bro, look, you smashed it. Amazing to see where you came from, what you achieved, and now where you're using it. And he said it himself, because the money I'm generating for my rent-to-rent business has allowed me to kind of like get away from work, number one, has allowed me to retire my mum, and now has allowed me to focus my attention on my development side. And that's what it is for me. For me, that's a massive achievement.
Yeah.
Because he's used his knowledge to kind of, again, we'll go back to the process. He's gone from step 1 to step 2 to step 3, and now he's just kind of launching himself off it.
Yeah. Oh, I love that. There's a lot to unpack there. I like what you said there about people sometimes they get, almost blinded by looking from A to Z and, but forget about the bits in between. Do you think social media has a big part to play in that as well? That
Absolutely.
They're seeing all these, things on social media and that, I want to get to Z straight away. But you've got to come in and want to say, look, let's bring it back a bit. Yeah. Do you think that's a big problem?
Oh, absolutely. Because I think everybody, and you know it and I know it, everybody on social media just flaunts the greatness. I'm driving this car, I'm wearing this watch, I'm doing this deal, I've got that deal. A lot of it is BS, and you know it and I know it, and a lot of these people have got nothing to their names to say it. But social media, and I think the last sort of 5 years more so than anything, has made it kind of like you have to be seen to be doing something, rather than being the other way, to be doing it and not be seen. Whereas it used to be like kind of like our parents' era, where they were doing things and there was no social media at that time. Now it's almost like, anything, for example, and I'm sometimes guilty of it myself. You're out with somebody, you take a quick picture, or because you want to post it on social media to show that I'm doing it
for
with
the
somebody.
content,
for the gram, right? Because you're there. We've all been to networking events. We've all been out to like Nando's with mates and whatnot. And I remember I went to a podcast a couple of months ago, or it was about a month ago, and there was somebody there from Big Brother. And me being me, I was like, right, this is going to blow my Instagram.
Yeah.
Grabbed him, took a selfie. I was like, bro,
do
you mind resharing it? And he did it, But we all do it. But I think there has to be that essence of like, if you're going to flaunt it, fine, I haven't got a problem with that. But make sure you can back it up.
Yeah.
And a lot of people can't back it up. And I think that's where a lot of people are falling into that trap, where Z looks amazing, it's shining, it's brilliant. What you're not seeing is the late nights. What you're not seeing is like what it took you to get from where they basically started from, and the journey they had to go through. And I know something that we've talked quite a lot about. It's people that are they actually doing what they say they're doing, or are they doing it because society needs to be seen and heard that they're doing something? So
it's a double-edged sword, isn't it? Social media, because they tell you to be, you got to be active, you got to be showing up on social media, but then when you're busy, it's hard to actually show up because you are generally busy. So then people think, oh, maybe he's not actually showing up because he's not putting anything on Instagram. But then, so you get into that sort of, cycle of, oh, I need to be posting, but I need to be working at the same time. And it's just a never-ending cycle, isn't it?
It is. And I think, again, it's that societal theory of like, no, I have to post, I've got to do something. And I like I said to you, I'm guilty of it. I've come to it.
I am too.
And I posted it. And I had to post it because I know I'm getting on it. I know it's going to help me get reach. But you're right. Sometimes, you're busy doing whatever you're doing and you just think, and we do get, and burnout's real as well. Yeah. That's the one thing people can understand. Like, if you're posting daily, whether it's stories, or whether it's reels, whether it's your normal static posts, burnout is real. And I've been through it. And there's times where I'm like, you know what? Sorry, I don't even want to post anything. I can't be asked to post. Because it's real. I'm so fed up of doing it in front of a camera. But then you have like a day or two off and you think, right, okay, let's refresh, let's go again, let's shoot content, let's shoot. I think because the way the world is moving, we need to be on there.
Yeah.
You know, that a couple of days ago, I think Instagram went down, and
Oh no.
the whole world shut down almost because Instagram was down for like an hour or two, right?
Yeah.
But I think it's a mindset thing. I think it's a massive mindset problem at the moment. But then it's like, how do you control that? Because the power of the internet is so strong at the moment.
Yeah.
AI is moving in such a strong dimension. Social media is moving in such a fast way. How do you control it? Like, you know, I single-handedly can't control it. You can't control it.
Yeah.
But like you said, we can put our foot down. But I can guarantee when you're boarding that plane next week or whenever you're going, you're going to have that camera there to show that you're going abroad.
Oh, of course, 100%, 100%. I spoke about this on recently as well with Athena Dobson, about the power of social media, and she asked a similar question around, you know, how can you use social media effectively? And I basically said you have to be intentional with what you're doing with social media. So for me, it's a marketing tool, it's a branding tool, and I try not to get lost in the source too much of social media and Instagram and you know the endless scrolling. So I'm intentional with my content 9 times out of 10. Sometimes you do get the post just for the sake of posting, but I try to be as intentional as possible and use it as a marketing tool. So, and I think that's the best way to approach it, don't you?
Yeah, absolutely. I think for me at the minute, especially in our kind of genre of what we're doing, I think it has to be that. I think if you and like, you know, the theories, you can sit at night, scroll. It's gonna be endless of it, and I'm kind of still guilty of it again, because the minute I post something, I'm like, how many likes is this getting? How many views has it had? How many comments has it got? And I think you're right. I think how you have to be intentional with it. It's like now when I on a Monday I'll sit down for a couple of hours in the morning and I'll plan out my week's reels and I'll have a look at like what am I shooting this week, what's going out, and then I'll plan it where I know it goes out. That kind of saves me than having to sit on Instagram and think, oh God, I got to do a reel today, because I know 6 o'clock this is going to go out. I've either automated it or I'm going to do it, you know, within a couple of hours before it going out, so I can then post it and job done and I've forgotten about it.
Yeah.
I think you've got to catch yourself a little bit as well, because that scrolling, once it starts, and you know what it's like, it will never end, because it's just spiraling. And I don't want to feel like I'm being negative towards it, social media as well, because social media is also a good thing. Social media at the same time has allowed me to kind of launch my business.
Yeah.
Social media has allowed me to get my name out there. Social media has allowed me to get clients. Social media has allowed me to kind of prove who I am and what I'm doing. So I think there's good with this bad, but I think it's learning how to control it and learning how to kind of use it effectively for your business and for you is the best way going forward with it.
Yeah, couldn't agree more. All right, let's take a step back then. So you've been doing what you do for over 15 years now, is it?
In the property space, over 15 years.
Yeah.
I've been coaching since 2018.
2018. Okay, so talk us about your how you started within property. Basically, if we go back 15 years.
Yeah, absolutely. So
how did you get started?
I was at university, and at the time I knew somebody who had a letting agency, and I was studying in Birmingham, so he was kind of like, look, you know, would you be interested in having a letting agency? And I was a little bit skeptical at that time. I was like, not really, because my mindset then was I needed a lot of money to put behind me. I needed a lot of like income to kind of set up for like offices and so forth. But what I was doing previous to that, it was in the summers I was struggling to get a summer job because people knew I was only here for the summer. Then I'm going to go back to uni. So I opened up a carpet cleaning business. I remember the flyer coming through my door, and they were like, I think if you did the course with them, they'd give you so much percentage off the machinery, as long as you buy it for them from the year. My dad had an old Ford Galaxy parked at his body shop, and he was like, look, we're not using that. Took the seats out of that, and I started doing carpet cleaning. And as that same friend at that time, you know, he said, look, I'm cleaning the apartment's floor. Do you mind just opening the door for a couple of people? Yeah, no worries. I'm there anyway. And I just thought, I'm going to open the door, let them walk around. And as I've opened the door, they kind of thought I was the agent. I was showing them around. And I did this, and within like 20 minutes of them leaving, he just messaged me and said, thanks very much, they've taken the property on. You know, do you mind doing some more? And I was like, why not? He's going to pay me a little bit extra while I'm doing it.
Yeah.
I'll do it. Then that kind of just got to me. I was like, surely it can't be this easy for me to open the door and get somebody in, because it can't be every time I'm doing these things, people are taking the property. I started reading more into it. There was a book called Splam, and it was everything to do with lettings. I read it and I thought, right, you know what? I can do this. This is like, you know, my bread and butter kind of thing. And then from there, I set up my letting agency. So I took a franchise off him. Mm-hmm. I did Birmingham. I also did North Camden. So I did Camden here for a little bit as well. I had a few clients in Camden that had property in Birmingham. And yeah, that's really the journey started, really. That's
wow.
Yeah.
So how long did you do that for?
That was from 2009 till 17.
2009 was an interesting time, wasn't it? 2009. Yeah.
The worst time to get into it.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
Mate, there was a recession going on, and then when you were about 21 years old, you're pumped with all this energy.
Yeah.
And I'm kind of like, people were like, oh, I don't really watch the news as such. I knew there was a recession going on, but I thought, oh, it doesn't matter what happened. And that's how I actually accidentally fell into rent to rent, because what happened is when you're 21, you're over promising, you don't know what you're talking about. And I had landlords that were kind of like manipulating me a little bit as well, because they were like, if you rent this one, our worst property in our portfolio, we're going to give you the rest of our portfolio, job done. But we want to achieve X rent. All right, fine, I did it. That time there wasn't as much red tape. So what I was doing, I was renting the rooms at an individual basis. Where I was going wrong was I wasn't making enough profit, but I was covering just about over my management fee. So for example, if my management fee was like 50, 60 quid, as long as I was renting those rooms out, and I was making that 50, 60 quid on top after paying everything out, happy days. I was cool with it. What I didn't realize was I was running around like a headless chicken. Because as you can imagine, running on 50, 60 quid, 5 or 6 people in a house, this goes wrong, that goes wrong. I have no clue what a HMO is. I don't know what I'm doing at this stage. Saying to landlords, "Here you go, your property's rented," not realizing that rents are rented out sporadically. They're like, some comes in the first, some comes on the third, some comes on the 10th, some comes on the 20th, and they want their rent on the first. So I've got to make sure this money is sitting in my account to pay them on the deal. And they didn't really hold their word. They didn't give me the rest of the portfolio, and I was kind of glad as well, because it was at that time, and the recession was kicking. And I remember in the Midlands, paying £1,000 rent for like a 4 or 5 bedroom property was a lot of money, and to a certain degree it still is today. But I learned a hell of a lot. It took me through that journey where it allowed me to kind of like man up a little bit. Like not everybody's your friend, not everybody's looking out for you, not everybody's got the best interests at heart. But it gave me that time to kind of learn a lot about lettings, learn a lot about the industry, learn a lot about HMs. And then I think it was like 2014 or 2015, I bumped into one of my mentors at that time. And I wasn't looking for like a rent-to-rent mentor. I was looking for a business mentor. Yeah. And he was just like, "What is it you do?" It's a lettings. Because he was doing lettings as well himself in Milton Keynes. And I showed him what I was doing. He's like, "Mate, you're an absolute donut, because you're running around for like 50, 60 quid. You're hardly making any money. You're just about breaking even every single month. This is a disaster waiting to happen." And then he showed me like what I should be doing, how it should be like £100 profit per room if we're doing like HMO, or at that point we were like breaking even at like 40, 45% if we're running a service accommodation. And that's when the penny dropped. And that's when I was like, oh damn, there's a whole new like spectrum of like thing in the lettings world which I can kind of tap into. And that's where it kind of got me going, like that. And it took me, it wasn't straight away. It took me a little while to kind of like get going, get up and running. And then it was that difference between average management fee at that time was like 50 quid. Average rent is £500. So you can tell the difference between what I should be making compared to what I am making at that time. So yeah, that's where we were.
So it sounds like it was this mentor that really changed the game for you then.
Like even to this day, like absolutely, complete godsend, complete changed my mind, changed my focus, completely showed me how things were done, and even for the lettings industry, showed me like what I should and shouldn't be doing, how I should approach certain agents, how I should approach other landlords. Just gave me a little bit of know-how, especially when you're young, when you don't really know what you're talking about. You're throwing caution to the wind. You're just trying anything. There was no plan of action. I was just kind of like going in blindly and trying to take on it. You almost think that you can take on the world because you're young. You got the hours. I was saying to landlords, I work 7 days a week. Biggest mistake going, because you soon find out people will take advantage of you on a Sunday. Yeah. Just because you're not doing anything doesn't mean they're not doing anything, or vice versa. And I think it was about 2014 when I was about to get married. And I thought, right, this has got to stop, because I don't think my wife's going to stick around too much longer if I'm getting calls on a Sunday from these people. Yeah. So that's where the penny dropped, really.
Love it. So in a mentor then, what personality traits should a good mentor have, or what should someone be looking for in a good mentor?
I think first and foremost is honesty. If somebody can meet you up and sit you up and give it to you brutally honest and say, look, Ravi, this is how it is. This is what you're doing. For me, it's a golden tick, number one. If you're approaching somebody and they're sugarcoating things, oh, it's okay, Ravi, don't worry, we'll do this a little bit later. Don't worry about that. For me, the biggest red flag, because it's got to be more than the money. Somebody has to be able to see through you and say, right, your problem is X, Y, and Z, because you are doing this. You're not pulling your finger out. You've been lazy at this, right? And you can ask some of my mentees, and I give it to them raw sometimes. I really kind of go hard on them. It's not because I want to be nasty. It's because I want them to achieve their goals. And if if a mentor is able to kind of sit there and say, right, this is your problem, and your problem is because you didn't do this, this, and this. You should actually be doing this. Why weren't you focused on this? How many calls did you make over there? Just someone that can give it to you real. Someone that can be open and honest to you, almost like a family member that can just lay it out as it is without feeling that you're going to get upset about it. That for me is how a mentor should be.
Yeah.
For me, that's the biggest golden tick.
Okay.
Because someone's looking at your best interest, then, right?
Yeah, of course.
If someone's sugarcoating something, if someone's not really giving you too real, they're kind of holding back a little bit. It makes you think a little bit. Why is he not telling me that?
Mm-hmm.
Is it because we're in the same industry? Does he not want me to achieve? Is he just interested in giving me a little bit and then paying him a little bit more to give me the next level? That kind of is where I think a difference comes into it.
Okay. And on the flip side of that as well, then, Ravi, from a mentor perspective, are there specific things that you look for then in a mentee? Like, have you ever turned down a mentee as part of your sort of screening or application process?
Yeah, all the time. It happens all the time. So one of the things that I do with anyone that wants to join or wants to work with me is we have to do a strategy call first. Mm-hmm. It's usually anything between half an hour to 45 minutes long, and it gives me the understanding and it gives me an opportunity to kind of understand what this person is like, what kind of journey they're on, what kind of information are they relaying to me, and I will in return give them a few home truths as well, just to kind of poke the bear a little bit. I just want to see what their reaction will be like. Even today I turn around a lot of people that kind of come onto the course just purely because they're not primed and ready.
Yeah.
For me, if you're coming onto a mentorship thing, two things I ask for. Number one is honesty, and number two is hard work and grit, because it's not going to be a case of Ravi's going to sit here and spoon feed you everything. I need you to get on with the work. It's a horse to the water situation. Mm-hmm. You can bring the water to the horse, but you can't force him to drink it.
Yeah.
Exact same situation. If you haven't got the ingredients or the pedigree to kind of go out there and say, right, I want to achieve this, I'm going to make sure I put X amount of hours in, or I'm going to make sure I dedicate my time doing this, then there's no point me and you jumping on a call. And it's not as if it's not happened to me. I've had mentees who have started off on that straight and narrow with me, and then once they've got a deal or two deals, they've kind of veered off a little bit, and I've just said, look, you either pull your finger out, or I'm going to kind of close the door here. Because I'm not here to waste anybody's time, and I don't want my time wasted at the same time. There's been a few times where I had to say to people, sorry mate, it's not for you.
Yeah. So. I suppose it's you've got to have everyone's interest has got to be at heart as well. It's got to be a win-win scenario as well, isn't it? You don't want someone to join your program and then it doesn't work out, it looks bad on you, it looks bad on them, and vice versa. It's just wasting everyone's time, isn't it?
Yeah, of course it is. Like from a purely selfish perspective, bro, if you came onto my course, for example, right, and you did well, we'll go on to the social media topic. Now, I'm going to flaunt it. I'm going to say, Courtney was on my show.
Success stories, right?
Exactly, right? Yeah. And it's good for me. It's good for my business. Equally, it's good for them because they came on, they paid me what they paid me, and now they're achieving their success. Yeah. Happy days, right? It has to be a win-win for both. And I say it to everyone that comes onto the course, it's going to be one of those courses where I'm going to want to have jokes with you. There's going to be banter. There's going to be times where I feel like I'm your dad or your mom and I'm going to be shouting at you. But it's just to make sure you get where you get. Yeah. You know what I mean? But that's what it is. It has to be their interest. For me, the interest always has to be, are they going to get the results?
Yeah.
And even going back to your previous question, there's people that have jumped onto my calls with me and I'm like, there's no way you're going to achieve success because they just don't have it in them to understand what we spoke about earlier, that journey is.
Yeah.
They seem to think that, the Z is a shiny coin and we're going to get everything at the end. It's not about that. And you spot that quite early.
Yeah. So that's a mindset thing then, isn't it though?
Yeah, massively.
Yeah, so you spot that straight away. They haven't got the right mindset, and there's probably a lot of work they've got to do first to work on that mindset before they can even jump into a program of some sorts, right?
Absolutely. More so than anything, I don't want them to waste their money.
Yeah.
So there's no point, right, forget me for a second, there's no point you taking on a property on and then paying a landlord or paying an agency and then figuring out, actually, hold on a second, I didn't think that this was as hard as it is, or I didn't realise it was as much work as it is, because, all right, with me, if you walk out, fine, whatever, but if you walk out away from a landlord, if you walk away from an agency, you don't pay rent, you don't, agree to what you're doing, they can go after you, they can sue you, they can potentially put a black mark against your name.
Yeah.
And then you ruin your career, or you ruin your funding for the rest of your life, then what's the point in that?
Yeah.
So for me, it's got to be sincerity. You've got to understand that this is like a process. This is an actual business. You have to it's not life and death, but there is a level of seriousness to it.
Yeah.
To kind of get where you need to be.
Yeah. So. And you said it was 2018 when you first got into mentorship, right? Mm-hmm. As in a mentor yourself.
Yeah.
Why did you get into that? What was the reason for that?
To be honest, my DMs are going mad with that. Everybody asking for free help.
Yeah.
And I was just like, and it was just, people used to ask me, what about this or what about that? And it was more so Facebook at that time. Ravi, how do we do this or how do we get that right? And I was just like, just do this, just do this, just do this. And then at that point, I thought, you know what? I'm just going to charge people for this. I've had enough. Like, there's only so many amount of like free DMs I can kind of give. And I didn't really want to do it as well. I'll be completely honest with you. I didn't really want to do mentoring. It wasn't really my thing. What actually happened is I went to another mentor after my current mentor would just take me to the next level to kind of do more things like in the property circuit. That was more like buying HMOs or doing them up and like land development stuff. And I won't drop any names here, but she nearly took me for a ride. And that was 1 month in. And I was like, I think at that point I was paying like £900 a month for her services. And I was just like, wow, this is what I'm getting. A 20-minute group calling session within the 1 month, and one meetup in the month. And that was it. And it wasn't like a one-to-one meetup. It was like a completely group coaching. So I wasn't getting my voice heard. And B, she wasn't, even outside those hours, if I was approaching her, she really wasn't like there to kind of get towards me. And I thought to myself, there has to be more than this. And all the people that I was kind of giving free advice to, I did like a free taster session. So look, if I opened up a mentorship and would it be something that you're interested in, I won't even tell you what I was charging them, bro, because it was so dirt cheap for what I was giving. But they were getting value, you know, and I still remember a few of my first mentees, even to this day, they're still doing well. They're still doing the things in their business. They're still earning that money coming from it. Yeah. It was more, I think the biggest problem I have in property, and the biggest problem I have currently, and I had back then as well, is people are getting into property that shouldn't be into property, or people are getting into the coaching space that shouldn't be in the coaching space. Mm-hmm. They'll do a deal, and all of a sudden, next thing you know, they're teaching mentorship programs. Mm-hmm. And that is my biggest bugbear, as I know.
Yeah, mine too. We've had this conversation quite a few times. And look, I've held my hands up and I've said, look, each to their own, you know, do what you're doing, but there's got to be an element of sort of, you know, credibility and morals as well. You know, you can't be teaching someone something that you've only been doing for a year or two. You know, like, I've had people say to me jokingly, like, or jokingly or not, I don't know, like, you should do a course now, coach. You've got 4 or 5 properties now. I was like, but I've been doing it for 2-3 years. Yeah. Like, I've got to have a bit more about me first before I could even think about doing something like that. And I don't want to do anything like that at the moment. I'll be honest with you, I don't. But it's just, but then there's people that's got one rent to rent or a couple of rent to rents in 12 months, and then they're releasing this training program. So it's
so
I know
annoying.
Part of me wants to say hats off to them and fair play for adding another income stream to what you're doing, because that's ultimately what they're doing. But for me, just ethically and morally and just... Yeah.
But this is where my problem comes in, right? And I always say to everybody, if you're going to be a mentor, and it doesn't mean just rent to rent, it can be anything, you should have at least 5 years experience in that industry. Because within that 5 years, you're going to see the highs, you're going to see the lows, you're going to see the issues. My biggest bugbear is when people tell me that they've done one deal and now they're a mentor, or they've done 1 year of, you know, property trading or whatever it is, and they're a mentor. What happens if you get a mentee on it and something goes wrong and you can't tell them how to put it right?
Yeah.
You're going to make the industry look bad. You're going to make yourself look bad.
Yeah.
And that poor individual who's blindly paid you to become their mentor because you're probably good with the gift of the gab is now going to be stuck because they've got no one to turn to help them get out of this trouble. This is my biggest thing I say to anybody. If somebody got into a situation or somebody got into an issue, would you be able to get them out of it? And half of these people, you know and I know, wouldn't be able to. Because they've never been in that issue themselves. They've never dealt with that landlord. They've never dealt with that scenario. How are you going to be able to tell someone? And it comes down to blagging again. But this is why I always say I think the property industry needs to be more regulated. I don't think it should be as easy for people to walk in as, you know, you can go onto a certain course and then all of a sudden you're a property trader or
a sourcer
or land development or whatever it is you want to call it. It shouldn't be that easy. And
I like that, you know, 5 years experience. I mean, using your example there, so I don't do rent to rent, but I know the model. I know a lot of people that do the model. So if you look at the typical lease is 3 years, would you say? 3-4 years, 5 years potentially of, and so if you haven't been doing it for at least that period of time, you don't know what to do when your lease is coming up for renewal with the landlord, if the landlord pulls the plug, doesn't want to renew. So there's loads of things to navigate that can only come with time.
And even simpler than that is a lot of these people don't know what tenancies to use. You use the wrong tenancy agreement between you and the landlord, and you're potentially shooting yourself in the foot because you don't know what you're signing. You're going in blindly, and you're right. You're 100% right. How do you get out of that tenancy if you need to go out? If it's not working, what do you do? How do you end your tenancy with a landlord, or how do you go about renewing it? There'll be like increasing fees. How do you have that communication with them? How do you kind of convince them to kind of say, no, I'm happy for you to stay where you are? If you've never been through that scenario yourself, how do you tell the next person to do it? It's worrying because like you jump onto the internet and just Sunday I was looking into it and there's somebody who, and I won't name names, I know he's been on my Instagram for about a year, and I know he was new then because he was dropping me messages. And now all of a sudden, him and a friend are now doing mentorship. So I'm just like, but then part of the problem also is the people that are paying them.
That's the bigger problem as well, isn't it?
That is the biggest issue because you're not going back and doing research.
Yeah.
You're not asking them certain questions. Just find out a bit more information. Just don't go in blindly.
Yeah.
Ask them about what their portfolio looks like. If you want to go and have a look at it, go and have a look at it. If you want to come, I just say to them, look, come down and have a look at my properties. Here they are. This is what they are. Or ask them about the experience. Ask them about certain scenarios. Ask them about who else they've trained with. Who are the mentees that they have. Very, very quickly you'll find out how quick somebody has been in the game and hasn't been in the game.
Yeah. And if they're cagey to share any information, or so do your due diligence is what I always say.
Absolutely.
And then see what you get, see what comes back of you.
Yeah, absolutely. And you know what it's like. If somebody's open to kind of like share things with you, share ideas, share knowledge, share what they're doing. Normally 9 times out of 10 that kind of gives you an indication that okay, this person does know what he's talking about. They are in the industry. But still, I think a lot of people, they use the NLP scenarios, so they kind of like go towards people's like mindset and like they prey on the weak a little bit. Oh, I did this and I was in the same situation you. I was stacking shelves at Asda and I know you are too, and you can be where I want to be. Or they hire out a boat in Dubai, and I know how easy it is because we're in Dubai all the time, and I know how easy it is to hire out a Rolls Royce for an hour just to get a photographer to come take a picture of it. But the reality of it is, I'm a rent-to-rent mentor. I've been doing it for years. I don't have a Rolls Royce in my backyard.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And I certainly wouldn't go and take pictures inside one because who am I flaunting it for?
Yeah.
So it is what it is at the end of the day.
Yeah, it's an interesting one. And on the flip side of that as well, you talk about courses as well. It's so easy to actually create a course in this day and age. If you spoke about AI early on, so I'm in the tech industry as well. And I've done some trials and testing on certain tools just to see how easy it is to do certain things. And I kid you not, I was able to create a course with 12 modules in about half an hour.
Yeah.
Because you can basically just put topics in to a tool, what you want to talk about, name the modules, and it will spit out the content for you. You can then put it into different categories, divide it up, and then produce content off the back of it. So people are actually doing that because you can almost see the language and the wording that's out there in some of the courses. It's blatantly come from an AI tool, or it's something that's been replicated already. So,
and I think there's also something that comes out now with AI where you can get like someone to stand there, like a lady or a man in the video, and they'll be voicing over the whole course. It's scary. It's scary of how fast it's going, and I think it's just, again, it goes back to like how much experience has happened. Like AI can spit out certain things, but it's not going to be able to spit out facts in terms of like what my experience was or what your experience was. But I think technology is it's growing so fast, and I'm saying I've seen the same tools, and they're regularly on Instagram and build your course now and do this and do that. But fine. Look, I've got no problems with you monopolizing it. By all means, go out and build an next stream of income. I've got no problems, and I'm happy for you. Go off and do it. But my problem comes when, you're taking innocent people's money, and you're kind of like defrauding them because you're telling them one thing you've never done.
Yeah. And
then it's like, well, that's, for me, it's kind of like money that you don't want to touch.
Yeah.
So
and it begs the question as well, using that example there, is the value in the course itself or the person? And I think it's the person, because we've just proven how easy it is to create a course. So anyone can go out and create a course with no knowledge, no expertise, no experience. They can go out and create a course. So that just means it's so easy to do that. But the real value is the person behind that, the mentor, for example, the coach.
And a lot of the time, course, like, I'll be completely real with you. A lot of the guys that have been through my course haven't even like watched the entire course, and I drop it to them. I was like, "Have you watched that video?" Because they'll ask me a question. I'm like, "Hold on a second, you've not been through that. You've not been through that module, because I talk about this in the module in detail, so you would have known what I said." But again, this is where it comes to either the group coaching session or the one-to-ones. That's where the value kind of comes into it, because somebody who knows what they're talking about.
Yeah,
they can guide you through it. Anyone can build a course out today, bro. We can build a course out on car mechanics if you want to build a course on car mechanics and put it out there, because there's so much information on the internet. But if I got to that situation and I needed an issue, I needed someone to talk to say, right, I know the course is telling me this, and I hear it a lot. On the course you've talked about this certain topic, but it's just not understanding. Do you mind breaking it down with me on the call? And then you kind of right, okay, cool. I talked about this at this scenario because this was happening here. And on this situation, you need to do this. Where are you with it? Oh, Ravi, I'm doing this. Right. So that scenario where I told you about A, B, and C, you did B wrong, because if you did B better than you did C, that's why you're getting stuck. But that's my experience speaking now. That's
Yeah.
because I've been there.
Yeah.
I've done it. I've been a letting agent. I've been landlord. I've done all those kind of things. So I think that one thing that AI can't have is that personal touch and that personal experience. And that's where I think we're a little bit safe.
Yeah.
Because experience over anything. And I always say it like experience speaks volume, bro.
Yeah.
Like knowledge is power.
100%. What would you say needs to change then in the sort of the coaching, mentorship space?
What needs to change? It's hard to sort of say. I definitely think it needs to be more regulated. But then how do you regulate a coach? Like for myself, right? I'm an accredited mentor. So I have to go through an accreditation process every single year. They go through my course. They go through. They'll do like spot checks. So they'll send someone like blindly in to book a call with me, just to kind of see what I'm sort of saying.
Oh, is it? Okay.
Yeah. So I've got to do that. I've got to submit my documents. They actually watch my course, go through it, make sure I'm teaching the right things, and I've got that accreditation with them to have it. And that again signifies that I'm doing the right thing. But again.
So is that like an accreditation body then or something? Yeah. Okay.
So Cyril Thomas.
Oh yeah.
Okay. So
yeah.
I'm accredited by the Property Investors Bureau.
Yeah.
And it helps you put yourself ahead of other people because it's not cheap either. It's costly. There's a renewal fee every single year for you to kind of go off and do it. But in doing so, you stand out a little bit more because people can see your credibility. What needs to change is I think there's got to be. It comes down to the human being as well, though, bro. Like I mean, there has to be a bit of like sincerity. There has to be a bit of honesty from somebody. If you've been in an industry and you've done something for a year and you've done really, really well with it and you want to sell it, I've got no problem with you doing that. But tell people that you've been doing it for a year. Don't tell them that you've done it for longer than that.
Yeah.
That's where my problem comes in. And I think a lot of I would wish a lot of the BS would kind of stop. I wish people would be more real. I think definitely in the coaching industry, I think people should only get in the coaching industry. For me, if things had to change, I think you should only be able to get a coach once you get like to. I wish there was some sort of like accreditation level where you can only be a coach after you've done X, Y, and Z sort of levels.
Yeah. The thing that I don't understand is what this fascination is though about get 1-2 deals and then go into coaching and mentorship straight away. I see it all the time on Instagram. I just don't get this fascination or this obsession with course and mentorship after.
To be honest with you, mate, it's not easy work. Like it is hard. Like yesterday, I was up till about 10:30, 11 o'clock.
Yeah.
I had a client who was struggling, like on his deals, and he just wasn't getting it. And I finished meeting an in-person client yesterday around 9 o'clock. Went home, had something to eat, jumped on a call with him. My kids are upstairs in bed. I brought them down here on holiday with me for a little. Well, not on a holiday. We brought them down here to spend a bit of time with them quietly on here, which I've not been able to do. So I think what a lot of people don't realize is that it takes a lot of time. And if that person fails, guess what? Even though if I've told them everything, they're still going to say, "Oh, Ravi didn't do his job because Ravi didn't say this or Ravi didn't tell me this." There's a lot of like hours that have to go in to kind of nurture, get people. There's a lot of scenarios where you get frustrated with people because they're not doing what you told them to do. They're not doing the work, or they're doing it wrong, or they're not understanding it. For me, like I think it's just a glorified way to make another income.
Yeah.
Is if I'm completely honest with you, people say, "Oh, I'm going to set up a group coaching call because I've done this, and that." But I think what they don't realize is the amount of effort and work goes into it.
Yeah.
The amount of time, the amount of dedication. But I think the other problem we have now is I don't think people are as bothered about their name being dragged through the mud as it was previously, because there's so much technology, there's so much out there at the minute that can get that name wiped and moved.
Yeah.
That they're like, well, I don't care. So yeah, somebody said one bad comment to me. Fine, yeah, but it's going to get my algorithms building. It's going to get people talking about me. It's going to be more in the public eye. Whereas sort of like 5-10 years ago, if not more than that, people are like, you know what, it's taken me God knows how many years to build this product.
Yeah.
One slip up is going to cause me, severe damage. Whereas now, I think people are like, well, sod it, mate.
Yeah.
If I made a mistake and I said it, so what? I did it. That for me is the biggest like problem at the minute. I agree. I don't see what people see what the big fascination with it. I do it. Yeah, we've done it for a long time. It gives us a good amount of income that comes in. But it's also because I know I can add value to people's businesses. That's
the difference, though, isn't it? I mean, after a year,
like
you haven't been doing it long enough. So where does this sort of obsession where does this obsession come from to want to help when you're still helping yourself and still learning yourself?
And I tell you what, and I'm not going to name drop here, but I actually had a situation where I had one of my mentees behind my back started doing mentoring. So what had happened is I jumped on a sales call with somebody, and he was like, "Look, it's 2 of you at the minute who I'm going to go towards. My wife likes the other person. I really like you." And I'm like, "Oh, okay, amazing. Who's the other person, if you don't mind me asking? If you don't want to tell me." And they mentioned her name. And I was just like, hold on a second. I was like, say that name. What, do you know her full name? She said it. And I was just like, hold a second, let me just share my screen with you. Shared my screen, and I've got like a back office system which has all the mentees' data in it.
Yeah.
Do you mean this person? Is it this individual? And he went, yeah. How do you know? I went, she's on my course currently. I had a coaching call with her last week.
Yeah.
And he was like, what? I was like, yeah. He goes, she's told us that she's been doing this for years. She joined in 2019.
Mm-hmm.
Did a couple of coaching sessions with me in 2020. No, sorry. She joined me in 2020. Did a couple of coaching. Back then I used to do 2-day intensive courses. Did a 2-day intensive course with me. Gave them extra coaching sessions for like 2 months. Let them carry on. Then they met me at another networking event, one of the ones that you and I both go to. He's met me there. We want to go back on the course. Our business is struggling. We really need help again. Yeah, cool. Come back on the course. Paid for my mentorship again.
Mm-hmm.
But what they were doing is they were trying to snake me to get more information because back then I wasn't giving out like a digital course. It was more like it was like folders and stuff, so like HTML folders and so forth.
Yeah.
And they kept asking me for it. I was like, I had it, and I was like, no, I don't have it. It's not available anymore because I knew something was a bit fishy. But that is a problem. She'd been doing it for a year, then preying on like other ladies in her society and whatever it was to bring them in. It's just no morals.
Yeah.
Because like, why would you do that to somebody?
Yeah.
You're blindly taking somebody's money for the sake of your own. That same money that you've taken off from an innocent person, you're gonna put in your kid's stomach. Which for me is the worst thing you can do.
Yeah.
Earn it sincerely. I've got no problems with that.
Yeah.
Earn it where you've kind of gone and done something dodgy. Like, nah.
I think that's my biggest problem as always, the capitalization of it. You know, I'm all for, and I do it. I document what I'm doing. People can see the content I'm producing, but it's not with a view of coaching you or training you. And I love your content, by the way. Thank you.
I think you're one of the guys out there, and I think even when we first met, you're just very real, and I love that about you.
Yeah.
I think you just give it as it is, and you don't hide anything, and you just say, I've done this for this long. I worked with so and so. I'm doing this project, and I love that about you, bro.
Yeah, that's the way I'm always going to be. I've always been real from day. It's the way I've been brought up, the way I've been raised. I'm always going to be real like that. But yeah, as I was saying, that my problem is the capitalization of it. Sorry, it's just share it. Just be real. Just share it. Let everyone learn from your content. See what you've done in the last year or two. Don't make money from it. Don't profit from it.
And the thing is, if you have done it well for a year or so, and somebody does want your help, fine, help them and do what you want to do with them. But again, it goes back down that Instagram now starts looking very different to what it was a year ago. Now it's like, we're doing this and we're doing that, and I've got so and so and I've got so and so. All right, cool, fine. Now my next question is, the people that you're helping, can I see the results in 6 months or a year's time? What results are they hitting? What targets have they actually hit? There's so many people that, and again, I'm not for whatever reason blowing my own trumpet here. It's not the case. I'm just I can only talk about myself. People have jumped onto other people's courses because they were cheaper than mine, and then about 6 months to a year's time, they come back with a tail between their legs and like, Ravi, I really need to help now because of I joined so and so, and then this happened and that happened. I'm like, well, I told you so, didn't I? Because they don't like the fact that you give it to them real, and they like all the sugarcoating, and they like all like, well done, mate, keep going, you're doing a really good effort. No, it's not going to get you where you need to be.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think you're absolutely right. I think people aren't real in today's day and age. It's a fake industry at the minute.
Yeah.
And I'll probably get a bit of heat for saying that, but I don't mind because I think you know me as well as anyone. Like, if you're not real, then you're nothing really.
Yeah, exactly. And if you're not getting hated on anyway, I mean, you're not doing anything anyway. You're not growing anyway. So.
Exactly right.
Yeah.
Yeah, and if people, but that's the problem again. People want that.
Yeah.
People want that kind of glorified, nicey, and that's really why they're getting into mentorship, because they've raised their profile a little bit. They're seen a little bit more online. They seem to be helping people, but at the end of the day, bro, numbers don't lie. Like numbers, numbers.
Cold hard facts, right?
Absolutely. Yeah. I would happily pull out my portfolio of mentees and say, right, here, go and have a look at them and go and see what so and so is doing now, and go and see. And this is why, even when I do like an Instagram post of somebody, I tag them in there.
Yeah.
Because if I'm being fake, for example, if you were one of my mentees and I would never tag you into it, they're going to be like, well, hold on a second, he's always talking about this Courtney chap, but I don't really actually see him or hear about him or see his profile. I always tag everybody in there because it shows this is real. If you don't take it from me, go and ask him directly.
Directly.
Yeah. And you can speak to them and get them to give you the information. And then if I'm lying, they'll tell you that I'm lying directly, right? So it's just about being as honest as you brutally can, really.
Yeah. So can I ask then? Do you still work with a mentor yourself personally? Do you still have a mentor or advisor or even just someone you bounce ideas off of?
Yeah, there is someone that I recently started going back towards a little bit more. I've started working with him in back end of October, November sort of time. And it's not really a mentorship kind of like, so, and I don't mind sharing them. Aaron Branch. So
Aaron, social media guy.
Social media guy. So Aaron does a lot in social media. But what I quickly understood when I purely went to Aaron for social media, it was just like, bro, this is what I want to do. Get me to that level and get my ads out there and blah blah blah. But so when I got to know him a little bit more, I'm like, damn, if you read his story from where he's got and where he's gone into, and I've just paid him to go to the next level of his, ads, and I want him to basically like take over the whole thing. But it's like picking his brain now, because there's certain things that I know he's done within a mentorship space. I know certain things that he's done within, a professional business space. I'm thinking, right, I can tap into that. I can understand that. I can do a little bit more of that. And it's not always like paid. It's always, sometimes it's like, other people that you can network with, people that are in a higher position than you are. It's better to kind of like knock into their kind of understanding, like, how did you do that? Do you mind? And I always say to everyone, like, let's go out for coffee, let's go out for a meal, because it's not because I want to just sit there and like, just take. I want to understand like how you did it. And if it's something that I can give you value with, look, by all means, there's open arms. But it's just understanding like, I want to get to the next level. How do I do that? What did you do? How did what scenario were you in? So Aaron's somebody that's helped me. I don't have anybody else as a business mentor as such. One thing that I think I am doing, and if the right person came about, by all means, I'd definitely invest in it, because I think you definitely should invest in your yourself to kind of get to the next level. At the minute, what I'm doing a lot more of is just like reaching out to people who are in like a higher space. It doesn't even have to be higher space. People that are doing certain things, like I reached out to yourself for a certain bit of advice on HMOs because I know you were doing certain things and doing really well. That's what what's going on here. Yeah. How do I do this and that? And it's good to just pick people because I know you're trustworthy. I know you're honest. I know I'm going to get I'm going to get it real from you, rather than someone saying, "Yeah, Ravi's getting like sniffing around this HMO scene now. I don't really want to give him too much information because I know you'll grow." It's not about that. Like I said to you, if there's anything that I can do to help, mate, it's open doors for me.
100%. 100%. That feeds nicely into this next game that I want to play with you.
Here we go.
About mentorship. So I've made a list of sort of key influential entrepreneurs or business people. Okay. And I want to ask you, who would you prefer to be mentored by or work with?
Okay.
Happy with that?
Yep, let's do it.
Simon Sinek or Stephen Bartlett?
Stephen Bartlett.
Reason why?
I just love Stephen Bartlett's vibe at the minute. I think again, he, whether it's on Dragon Dens, whether it's on YouTube, he's just very real and authentic. It comes across. He shows his story. I'm not saying Simon doesn't. Yeah. Just something about Stephen I kind of like resonate with a little bit, and I like that, And when we talked about mentorship before, you've got to resonate with someone. You've got to have that vibe. You've got to have that understanding that we're kind of singing off the same hymn sheet. Stephen's got that kind of personality, I think.
Love it. Gary Vaynerchuk or Grant Cardone?
Gary Vaynerchuk, Grant Cardone. I'll say Grant Cardone because I read his 10X and I was like really, really at that time when I needed to kind of understand it and it's a hard one. Because I also like Gary V's like how he does his getting like just small and build and just do it, and he's raw and he just f bombs here and then because it's just about being able to do it. I don't know. I like
Grant Cardone, are we?
I'll say Grant Cardone for now, purely because I know Grant Cardone also does quite a bit in the property space.
Yeah.
So
I've done this deliberately, by the way, to make
some
of them really difficult. Yeah. Some are very like, okay, well, they're both in the same space and I prefer that one. I've done some of them deliberately for that there. And this next one's a good one. Samuel Leeds or Rob Moore?
Samuel Leeds or Rob Moore? Do I have to pick one? Samuel Leeds.
Ooh, why?
Yeah. I think Samuel Leeds sometimes gets a little bit of a heat because he doesn't help himself as well. He goes around flaunting that I'm rich, but he has done. I'm not saying Rob hasn't. I've probably seen a lot more of Samuel about that. I'd probably say, okay, I like what you're about. I like what you've done and how you've done it. He's obviously been in the rent space. He's obviously doing now the property stuff. I'm not, for whatever reason, I'm not condoning Rob Moore, but I don't like Rob Moore's jacket thing he wears as well. I don't know what that's all about. Yeah, bro. It's just I'm like, bro, why are you wearing that? We're not in the States, like. All right, okay. So yeah.
Deborah Meaden or Karen Brady?
Karen Brady. You
said that straight away with chest.
Bro, Karen Brady is a G. I don't care who says what. That lady is a G. Like, if you look at the industries where she's been in, like for example, she was like right back in the day, she was at Birmingham City, and then now she's at West Ham, and she's doing stuff in like with Alan Sugar in The Apprentice. Bro, I've got so much respect for her. She's like one female entrepreneur. I'm like, wow, like she is serious game, and I think she's relentless as well. And if you look at her as well, again, this is no disrespect to anybody, like she's a mother as well. She's been a wife, and yet she's still. But if you look at her, like, if you look at her history, where she's not been tainted anywhere.
Yeah.
She's not like, I don't want to use this word incorrectly, but she's not had like a mark against her name against something, or she's been out in the tabloids because of this, or she did this. She's just very like professional.
Yeah.
Get some of the shit, and I think she's someone that I would love to like sit and pick her brains with for a little bit and be like, how did you do this, or how can I do this? So yeah, I think she's a legend, bro.
Love that. Robert Kiyosaki or Warren Buffett?
Warren Buffett.
Oh.
Yeah, Warren Buffett. The whole
GOAT.
compounding industry. Warren Buffett is the GOAT.
Yeah.
Like Warren Buffett and if you look at Warren Buffett's life, and I'm probably like completely not like him, because he lives like the same house where he was before, same car. He's got a same like routine. And many of us, and I know, I'm like, he like to flaunt it. I bought this car, I'm doing this, I'm doing that. But just that whole compound effect where he's just kept going, and he's not had it easy. He's obviously struggled. He's had businesses which have gone lost. Robert Kiyosaki is good as well. Like his book is fantastic. That Rich Dad Poor Dad helped me loads. Like just that psyche and understanding of it. But yeah, you can't beat the legend, bro.
Yeah. Oprah Winfrey or Eleanor Lyons? Grant Cardone's wife.
Yeah. Oprah's built like an empire, bro.
Yeah.
If you look at like, and I remember Oprah, like my mom used to watch her shows. They used to like back in the day kind of stuff. And if you look at, and we always think Oprah is just a host of a TV show.
Yeah, presenter. Yeah.
But when you look at like the levels Oprah's on, you think, damn, like, and again, I'm not saying Grant Connor's wife's not got there, but like obviously Oprah's story is quite like dark as well.
Yeah.
Where she's been.
See, I didn't know that until recent few years. Actual backstory.
Yeah, it's dark, bro.
Yeah, I know.
Anyone that's not seen it, go and listen to it.
Yeah.
It's to go through that to get to where you are now.
Yeah.
She's a powerful lady in Hollywood and stuff, you know, bro. She can make things happen. Let's put it that way. But yeah, again, for what she's done in her career and where she's got to, like, wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Richard Branson or Jeff Bezos?
Jeff Bezos.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think he probably can thank me a little bit because my Amazon is constantly going like ping, ping, ping,
Yeah.
ping. Again, great. Look what he's done. You know, for him, he went from being nothing. He was like, bro. I remember when I had my letting agency, like, and I was like working out in my bedroom. I was working on my kitchen table a lot of the time. I didn't have a plush office. I couldn't afford even a room half the size of this just for a room because it was like, no, it's eating out too much. And I remember seeing that Jeff Bezos picture where he had like the banner up behind him with Amazon. It was like written out and whatnot. I just love his story.
Yeah.
I love what he's created. Again, Richard Branson, again, is another great one. His book is really, really good. He's done really well with Virgin and other enterprises. But yeah, I think Jeff Bezos is just, again, there's certain levels.
Yeah.
I think he's kind of like up there.
Yeah.
He's almost up there with like, I wouldn't say he's there, but like the Warren Buffett's kind of thing.
Yeah.
You're going to get me some heat with this game, man.
Bill Gates or Steve Jobs?
Steve Jobs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Apple man,
Apple man, bro. You name it. Mac, watch.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love it. I love
representing Apple, yeah, all kitted
Apple
out.
All day long.
Everything's synced up in your house, yeah.
Apple, bro. Even to the point where I remember my wife, I think at that time she had BlackBerry, and I was like, what is this thing you're doing with like...
It's still going, you know, BlackBerry.
Are they?
Yeah, people, it's still going.
Seriously?
Still going.
Yeah. I didn't know they were still about.
Yeah, still about.
Wow.
Yeah.
Anyway, she had this BlackBerry thing. I was just like, what is this thing? And she went from there, she went to a Samsung. I was like, listen, if you want to carry on, you're going to get yourself an iPhone, man. Like, this is not gonna...
If this relationship's going to work, you got to come over to the Apple.
You need an iMac, you need an Apple Pro, you need to do all this. I think I just love Apple's products, man. I'm a sucker for Apple. Like, you name it, bro.
Are you one of those guys that queuing up till midnight on the release days?
I won't do that. I think pre-kids I probably would have done, but like post-kids I probably can't. I'm not that techie nerdy, but I like certain things.
Yeah.
And I like everything to be in sync in a certain order. So if for example, if you've got an Apple Mac, then an Apple iPhone goes with it. An iPad then goes with that as well.
Yeah.
And I always say this to my wife to kind of get to convince her I need to buy this iPad because I've got to do it for work. And she's like, why can't you just go and buy the cheaper Samsung one or the other one that you need?
It's not going to sync.
It's not. You don't understand. It's not going to work right. And I've got to use a pencil now, which is also £100, but I have to have it because of this, and that. So
Apple must love you, man.
Apple rinses me every few years. You know what they're like. You're like, oh, Ravi's coming back again. Put another couple of £100 on it.
Love it. Taylor Swift or Beyonce Knowles?
Taylor Swift or Beyonce Knowles? Beyonce Knowles.
Yeah.
Beyonce. I think it was the same reason that you're looking at me like that.
Do you know what though? Both very, very influential businesswomen. I did a lot of research into them over the last few weeks now ahead of this game. And don't underestimate it. They're not just musicians and artists.
The brand that they've built up.
Yeah.
And people sometimes think, oh, Beyonce is there because of Jay-Z. Like, bro, without Jay-Z, she's a powerhouse. Mm-hmm. Like, she has got... Like, I think of Destiny's Child, how well that did back then. Then she moved from Destiny's Child to do her own thing. Now with Jay-Z. Like... And again, Taylor Swift, again, is also a massive brand. Like... Mm-hmm. Swifties, I think as they call themselves. The brand out there is huge, bro. But yeah, it's hard because both have done really, really well in their they're similar sort of genres almost. I think I don't know.
Beyonce, I'm saying Beyonce then, yeah.
Yeah, we'll go Beyonce.
We'll go on Beyonce.
It might give me a chance to sit with Jay-Z for a bit. So
Last one then. Tim Ferriss or Tony Robbins?
Tim Ferriss or Tony Robbins? That's a hard one.
Tim Ferriss' first ever book I read was proper sort of business book was 4 hour work week.
Yeah, I remember that. And I've got so many audiobooks on my phone of like Tony Robbins, The Power of Now, all this.
But then same. So all the podcasts of Tony Robbins as well, and it's just like it was a tough one.
I'll go Tony Robbins. I think only because I heard of him like a little before, but I've also a lot of the podcasts, a lot of the things that he said. Kind of and I like obviously when he's doing his live shows, he pulls people up and say, look, where are you? What are you doing? And I'm not saying Tim Ferriss doesn't do this, but it's very raw. And again, his backstory is quite dark as well. When you look at where he's come from, what things, the scenarios he had to kind of go through. But yeah, I like what he's about. I like he's big lad as well. He's big, powerful man.
He's a big boy.
Yeah. He doesn't hold back, bro. So it's good.
I love that. What do you think? You enjoy that?
I loved it. Amazing. You're probably going to get me some heat for it, but it is what it is.
I was putting them together. I was like, oh, that's a hard one, And I was like, how can I make it even harder? And I was mixing them around. I was putting that person with that person. I thought about mixing a male with female, but I thought, no, I don't want to do that because I want to put women in their own right. Some powerhouses in there. But I enjoyed putting that one together.
No, it was good, bro. It gets you thinking a little bit. And you think about what their stories are and how they've been. Like, for example, Karen Brady, I said it easily because
you said
she's one of those people. I was like, look at her and I'm like, wow. Her husband was Paul Pescasilido, the footballer. And if you think of where she's kind of come from in the industry she's worked into, the powerhouse is what she's built. Is bro, I don't think she gets enough recognition. I think she likes being in the background a little bit. And doing it quietly. But I don't think she gets enough recognition as what she should do. But it's good. It's inspiration to see these people that are out there doing it. These people are out there creating these businesses that you and me can do, bro. We look up to these people. We're family guys. We've got all that aspirations as well as they do. You look at them and think, wow, okay, look, she's had an amazing story. I can do that. Or he did really well. I'm gonna go and have a look at what just use it as inspiration to kind of go about your day. And I still get it today. I'm not gonna lie to you. There's some days where you're just flat, and I'm like, you know what? I really can't be asked today. I don't feel like it. It's just not happening. And you got no magic. You got no desire. You got no things aren't going your way. You're not really feeling like, oh, bro, the deal's not happening. Is it me? Is it my fault? And my wife always says I'm one of those people that when there's a problem, I will spiral. I will create a problem out of a problem, and then the next one, and the next one. And by the time I've got to the end of it, I've created 30 problems which hasn't even there. And I was listening to somebody, I can't remember who it was. It was on one of these motivational podcasts, and it was his pastor, and he's an American. He was saying, you've created problems in your mind that I think trouble's threatened you, but trouble hasn't even arrived yet. And I love that because the threat of trouble is coming, and I've kind of started to spiral, whereas trouble's not really arrived yet. And I've not had a chance to deal with it. So
I love that.
It's been amazing. It's been amazing. Thank you.
No, good. But Ravi, hope you enjoyed today. Thanks for coming on. But just finally, any parting words on the topic of mentorship?
Look, anyone that you want to get a mentorship from, anyone that you want to be mentored by, my first and foremost thing is speak to them, talk to them, understand a little bit about them. It's not always about the mentor asking you questions, because that's what a lot of it is. You should be able to ask them questions as well. Look, I know, you're teaching rent to rent. Can you tell me a bit more about your portfolio? can you tell me a bit more about how you're doing, what you're doing? Can you show me some success cases? Can you show me can you put me in touch with people that have done your course about a year ago or 6 months ago and show me where they are now, where they are today? Can I have a chat with them? That is what you do. Do not take things for gospel straight away. People will love you because of what you're posting on Instagram. And bro, we can all make Instagram look amazing and brilliant as it is. But sit down, have a look at them, understand what they're doing, understand what they're about, have a chance to speak to them. And if you've got that vibe with someone that, you know what, I think he can get me to the place I want to go, roll with it. Yeah. If your gut feeling is right, roll with it. If something in your gut says, I'm not 100% sure about this, I'm feeling a little bit cold, because I've done that. I've invested in mentors previously where I've not felt right, but I know they're getting success somewhere. Mm-hmm. Just because they got success with somebody else over there doesn't mean they're going to get success with me. And I think that more came down to we didn't have that vibe that you two had.
Yeah.
But if me and you've got a certain vibe and we get on and we've got a bit of banter, but we understand that this is where we need to go and this is how we're going to do it, roll the dice.
Yeah.
Absolutely, roll the dice.
Love that. Thanks for that. And finally, how can people reach you, contact you? Instagram,
so it's Rav_Gore, Gore. Is my Instagram handle. It's probably the best place you can do. I'm also on Facebook, Rav Singh Gore. But yeah, if you want to reach out to me on Instagram, send me a DM. I respond to it. It's not anybody else. So yeah, by all means.
It's not AI.
It's not AI yet. Not yet. After this conversation, I might speak to you about that. Yeah. Put a bot in there, get them to reply back to it. Yeah. But no, it's me. By all means, reach out to me, and if I can help, I can help. And yeah.
Great. Well, thanks again for coming on, Rav. Really appreciate it.
It's been a pleasure. Thank you for having me. Really appreciate that.